Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to get this webinar started. Our topic today is on avoiding being the PBGC, IRS, and DOL's focus by keeping your pension participant data audit ready. I'm Megan, PBI's Marketing Design Manager, and I will be today's moderator. Today we have Jeff Anderson with us. He is the new business development manager here at PBI. He has years of experience with clients across the country helping them minimize overpayments, save time and resources, and document for compliance. He's excited to talk about the industry regulations and changes and challenges, the impact inaccurate data has on pension plans, and how CertiCensus is a differentiator in the market. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Jeff to begin talking about what's going on with the regulations that pension plans are going through.
Thank you, Megan, and I appreciate everyone taking time out of their schedule to be here with us today. This is certainly a busy time of year. If you're dealing with a pension plan, almost every time of year is a busy time of year. And with my experience working with clients across the country, that's certainly one common thread in having those conversations is there's never a good time, right? We're always up to something, dealing with reacting to whatever the challenge of the season or of the day might be. So that's part of what we're here to talk about. So it's been very challenging not to see in recent news what's on the horizon and what is coming up with the additional DOL resources that are being added, and that's been a constant conversation if you're looking at the general news or certainly looking at industry news information, industry blogs. So some of the challenges as a plan sponsor, certainly that you're dealing with, is the ambiguity with some of the guidance and the information that's out there. So looking at this kind of in a timeline fashion, right, one of the things that we can see is in 2020, EBSA recovered over $3 billion. And if we look backward to less than a decade ago, they were at $721 million. So the focus and the growing challenge is certainly evident in the growth in fees and challenges there. So in 2021, there were two significant points of guidance that were released from the DOL that created a lot of challenge that we as an organization heard from our clients that caused a lot of stress. And that was around missing participants, lost missing participants, and around cybersecurity. And that DOL guidance, we've done a couple of other webinars on that. So certainly feel free to refer to our webpage. Or reach out to us for more conversation around details on that. But certainly the challenges there are there's guidance, but also ambiguity with that guidance and how to deal with it. And as an organization, we've worked very closely with our clients to address those challenges. And at the time, prior to 21, we had a lot of solutions in place that were reactionary, but at that point in time with the guidance, it also caused us to change our mindset with how we should be operating in order to best help our clients, help their participants. Now in 2022, the news, the information that's out there as far as the increase in the focus, the number of agents that are being hired and where the focus is going to be. And we've already seen numbers that are telling us that audits are up 30%. So this is a very challenging environment to be in. And as a plan sponsor, there are a variety of challenges, not just with the guidance and with what's coming at you and that you have to keep up with, but the actual practical nature of the tasks that you're challenged with. So next slide, please, Megan. So, oh, now from a risk standpoint, certainly the risk is very high here. So the challenges that we have with that guidance and with the tasks that you're taking, and in combination with the guidance that has come out, the missing participants, the cybersecurity, certainly with other tasks like death audit. We've seen in the news over and over again where those that even have the greatest resources have a significant challenge in participant data. Determining who's alive and who's not is one of those challenges that not everyone is aware of. We have a lot of clients come to us today for one challenge, lost or missing participants, and when we start the conversation around are they doing a death audit on a regular basis or not, sometimes the client is looking at us wondering, well, why are we talking about that? I want to talk about lost or missing participants and what I need to do here and the steps I need to take here. But certainly determining whether you've got a comprehensive and accurate death audit in place is a critical component to that, because if you're looking for someone, spending time looking for someone who's not alive, it presents an entirely different challenge. So, and obviously in the news you've seen Secure 2.0 also on the horizon, and one of the challenges there is with, or one of the proposed measures there is with limitation of recovery of those funds. So next slide, please, Megan. And this is the slide where speaking to the specific individual challenges that as a plan sponsor, you're dealing with on a regular basis. And the traditional methods to these challenges have always been reactionary. Right, so the death audit piece might be the exception where that has been something, depending on what you may be doing today. You might be on a regular cadence. We've certainly talked with our clients over the years about the importance of doing a death audit as not just a point in time, but keeping up with it with continuous monitoring and regular reporting is, we feel, absolutely critical. There's two pieces to that component. One is on the retiree or the in-pay status side of the house. Obviously, it's critical to the health economically, to your pension fund, to identify when someone has passed away, to stop that payment or transfer it to the appropriate person in a timely manner. On the other side of the equation, your terminated vested population. That is a very critical population to be mindful of when it comes to the idea of death audit. And in fact, when we're thinking about challenges with the IRS, the Department of Labor, any auditing source, one of the red flags certainly that would be very concerning is on the terminated vested side of the house. And that obviously having to do with lost or missing participants and keeping up with them. But also if those terminated vested employees or previous employees, former employees, if those participants are no longer alive, it is even less likely that their family is reaching out to you as the plan sponsor and reporting that to you. It's less likely that you're aware that that participant has passed away. And when we're talking about unfunded liability and improving the health of your pension plan, a death audit, and having continuous monitoring on that side of the house is a piece to the puzzle that's very important. Certainly when we're thinking about RMDs, if you have someone that's in that terminated vested population that's approaching retirement age, or they've hit retirement age, and it's found that they're no longer alive, that can be a challenging situation from a participant data piece. So other areas certainly of dealing with projects and project-based work in keeping up with participant data, certainly with beneficiary research. So beneficiary research, working with clients, it's very interesting to me to hear and understand how much or how little and what the spectrum is as far as beneficiary information that's on file. The beneficiary or the next of kin, next step, we've done beneficiary research projects for our clients for many years, and the nature of those can often look very different from one to the next as far as what the client need is. The end result, though, is certainly having a list of accurate information for potential beneficiaries is critical. And just like the example with the lost or missing participants, from a beneficiary standpoint, if those potential beneficiaries are alive or not is a critical component to all of this. Now, if we think about each of these sort of 4 things that we've bucketed here, and one of those is participant communication, certainly dealing with, there's a variety of ways of participant communication, but one of the primary things that we're thinking about here is an annual funding notice that goes out, which often results in return mail, which presents a significant auditing challenge or a red flag to an auditor if there's return mail that's not dealt with on a timely basis. And we've heard that firsthand experience from clients where that is a significant stress point that comes into play. Now, with each of these tasks that you have in front of you as a plan sponsor that have their own individual challenges, in addition to the potential project, having to figure out who to work with or what to do for your project, what steps you may take on your own, what steps a vendor may do for you, having to budget for those, contract for those, and then document what has been done and save that information for yourself in some way can present its own challenge as well, depending on how you are doing that today. So I mentioned death audit and the challenge that presents itself with each of those individual tasks. So the graphic that you're seeing on the screen is at the heart of the issue for the death audit challenge. So what you're seeing is the decline in the death master file legislation was passed a little more than a decade ago, which caused this significant data degradation. Vendors like ourselves took steps to provide better death data to our clients so that they could complete their steps in identifying decedents. Now you can see that this again is not a shrinking problem, but a growing problem as you see the graphic in gray with the CDC and the number of deaths reporting over time here. So what we've done as an organization to address this was in early years, we were utilizing obituary data and passing that to our clients. That very much became the industry standard. That data was scored high, medium, low. Clients had to take it upon themselves to determine, is this a good match or not? And that truly did become the industry standard, which we referred to as our standard death audit or standard death data is what we now call that today. So Megan, if you could show us the next slide here, and what we'll see is the industry standard, not just with our data results, but across the entire death data industry. When we measure those results against our newly formed solution as of a few years ago called CertiDeath, we can see that there is a significant gap between what we can identify with the CertiDeath solution and what the industry standard looks like. That 25% delta is significant whether someone is on the in-pay side of the house. Now we're talking about an economic challenge, right? So if you take 25%, if you think about your average annual pension payment, and you think about missing 25% of the potential deaths that are occurring within your population, you can very quickly come up with a math formula and what we refer to as a pro forma calculation to determine the economic benefit to you of utilizing our CertiDeath death audit solution. Now, when we think about the terminated but vested side of the house, there's a different equation there, and this is where we get into the unfunded liability, and we also get into the concerns and the potential red flags from an auditing situation. So very critical on both sides of the house. So with the CertiDeath death audit solution and with all of the other tasks that our clients were coming to us, letting us know that this needs to be done, that needs to be done, and reacting to things like return mail, reacting to the challenges that are presenting themselves from the DOL and the IRS and the additional guidance that's coming out. And whether someone was reaching out to us just to be prepared, which was less common than someone reaching out to us reacting to a situation. PBI as an organization decided to address this head on by creating a proactive solution that addresses all of the common tasks that you're dealing with on a regular basis. So whether it's seasonal at this time of year where you're prepping for your annual funding notice to go out in the spring, or maybe there are other tasks that you're dealing with end of year, we are taking all of those tasks that we talked about before and putting those into a regular cycle, with the idea of reporting and compliance being at the center of that cycle. So from a practical standpoint, when a client comes to us and is working with us with our CertiCensus proactive plan management program, when they provide their file to us, what we're going to do is begin the Certideath audit immediately, providing weekly results. Now, usually in the first 2 weeks or so, that looks like a significant cleanup if they have not been doing a death audit regularly. If they have been doing a death audit but using anything other than Certideath, the cleanup may not be quite as significant, but there is certainly going to be information that we're going to uncover that you weren't aware of previously. That information gets delivered to you in an efficient and clear manner in a weekly report as part of the CertiCensus program. In addition to that, we do also on a regular basis, on a quarterly basis, we're going to look at all of the addresses in your census file, and we're going to measure that against what we see as the best available address. Anywhere that there is conflicting data or information, in addition to the addresses, we're also looking at things like date of birth to clean up your participant census file. But the trigger of a conflicting address will cause us to then move that person into our outreach program, which is following DOL guidance by sending out mailings, making phone calls, conducting social media searches, and providing at the end of that project a diligence summary letter. And that diligence summary letter is a participant-specific document provided, obviously, for your documentation so that you have time and date stamped information showing that all of the steps were followed. Now, the simplifying participant communication, part of that is with how we are conducting the outreach to your participants, staying in front of lost or missing participants. So step one is cleaning up lost or missing participants that you may have some awareness around of due to return mail. But the other component to this is there are potentially lost or missing participants where you do not have return mail today. And what we're finding with our clients is those that feel that they have pretty good data typically are somewhere around a third of their addresses actually are inaccurate. And much of that may be around the term vested population, but what we're hearing more and more from our clients is with electronic deposit today, for their in-pay population, they're very surprised with how many in their in-pay population actually have not updated their address with them. So the importance of keeping that participant data up to date and providing it to you in a simple way, in a clear and easy to use way, is really, again, at the heart of what CertiCensus does for you. Now, we will also mail your annual funding notice for you, or an annual required communication. That's a key component here for those that want to take advantage of that feature, because the return mail will come directly back to PBI, and we will move that return mail into our outreach program to get participant confirmed updated information for your file, or in the event that we don't have that participant confirmed updated information, we should have some information that's leading to resolution, including that document that's going to be the diligence summary letter showing all the steps we're taking following DOL guidance. Again, we can't prevent you from being selected for an audit, but what we can do is help you be as ready as possible by taking the steps that the guidance is pointing us toward, and documenting that in a clear and easy to see platform. So with the next slide, what you'll see is the CertiCensus platform has a dashboard that is interactive. It shows status. There are various screens that you can go into to see certain types of reporting, so that you can go in and focus in on specific information, including specific participant data. So you have the ability to go in and click on a participant that maybe has completed address verification and outreach, and you can see all of the steps that have been taken. Maybe that address verification came because of one of our quarterly address runs, or maybe it came because it was return mail. You can see the trail of that information through CertiCensus and understand everything that's taken place. With our beneficiary research reports, let's say we have someone that there's been they've gone through the lost or missing outreach program, and now that was all resolved and taken care of, but now we get a report and we find information that that person has passed away. We could now take the next steps of conducting the beneficiary research report, which is going to focus on spouse information at the time of death, potential marital records, if there are any, available to us to provide to you. We would also focus in on all first-degree relatives, so children, siblings, potential parents, and that information is provided back to you in a detailed report that's clear, actionable, and easy to use, with phone number and address information. It's also going to indicate whether those potential beneficiaries are alive or not, utilizing that CertiDeath death audit program. On the next slide, you're going to see details of the diligence summary letter. So this is explaining all of the steps, again, date and time stamped, and showing all of the steps that were taken through our process. This is provided at the end of the project for the outreach. Typically, those are to completion somewhere in the 12-week range. And it's going to provide a detailed documentation for you of every step that was taken. And we've had the fortunate ability at this point, with this program running for over a year now, to hear firsthand from our participants how easy this has made their life, and how much less stress they have in front of them, knowing that we're offering this level of detail with this service or this solution. So Megan, with the next slide, we'll talk a little bit here as we wrap up around being CertiCensus certified. So having the confidence that you've done your due diligence is a critical component to being a plan sponsor at this point, and conducting those tasks. So what we've heard back from our clients is within 6 months, they have a very high level of confidence in the data that we're providing back to them, and the manner in which we're doing it, and their level of access to get into the system to get what they need to get. They also have the ability to update their own participant data within our system. Obviously, there's some level of partnership here that's a critical component to this. So the end-to-end documentation that you're getting from the CertiCensus solution is something that can really put you in the driver's seat as far as your seasonal ups and downs, or even your monthly, weekly, daily ups and downs with reacting to challenges within your pension program. And obviously, the point here is having the best possible participant data puts you in the driver's seat. So with that, Megan, do we have any questions in the queue?
Hey Jeff, yes, we did get a couple of questions in, so thank you for all that good information along the way. One of the questions is, and you've kind of covered this because this question came in as people were signing up. They said, what is like the CertiCensus process and like how does it work? So can you do like a quick like 30-second summary on it? I know you talked about it more in depth in your slides, but we just want to make sure we cover this.
Yeah, absolutely. So the CertiCensus process really is, so step one, you need to reach out to myself or someone on our team to make sure that you're talking with a team member directly. So getting the contract in place for CertiCensus, it is you would provide a file to us through our secure portal. There would be an onboarding session. The file is going to have your census data and information that you have available to us at that point. At the point that we receive your file, we're going to start running the death audit right away. And then in the onboarding meeting that would typically happen within a week of you being set up. Within that onboarding meeting, we would talk through all the other components and how we're going to interact with your participants when needed. Every plan is a little bit different, so there is some level of customization with how we are communicating with your participants, things we need to know, and what you care about. So we cover all of that in the onboarding meeting. Once you're set up with the access, you're able to log in to the portal at any given point in time to view your participant data and information and update your own participant data and information. As you're updating that, we're operating off of the most recently available info that you provide to us. So, and so you start getting reports on a weekly basis, and the access is always there. So 24/7.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. We have one more question here. So this is for someone who knows us pretty well in our products. So there's CertiDeath and CertiCensus. They're wondering with CertiCensus, are we able to locate more deaths even using CertiCensus because we are going through all the letter process and stuff?
Yeah, that is a really good question. And the answer is yes. So what's happening is death audit, we would say with CertiDeath, we're identifying roughly 95% of the deaths that are occurring. The death audit that we're conducting is a data exercise, right? So there's our sources are the Social Security Administration Death Master File, the state records that we receive, and the obituary data that our team is then validating that data and that information. That is covering the vast majority of deaths, but it's not everything. And what we're finding is that through the participant outreach, we're interacting with family members or others that are reporting back to us in some situations that the person that we're trying to contact is no longer living. So even though we weren't able to find a record of death, we're getting that information back and then reporting that back to our clients from there. So we don't have an exact number right now, but we're thinking while CertiDeath may be 95%, that CertiCensus might be in the range of 97 to 98% as a total death identification, if not more.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, it looks like our 30 minutes is up, and we want to be respectful of everyone's time. We appreciate everybody joining us today. If we didn't get to your question, or if any questions come up after the fact, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach out to Jeff directly. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to anybody of us here at PBI, your PBI representative, and we'll be happy to answer your question. Within 24 hours, we will send you a link to the recording of this webinar. And with that, I just got to say have a fantastic day, and thanks again for joining us.